All right, Corey from SaaS Pegasus here. So I just released Pegasus version 2025.4.1, and this has a lot of stuff in it. I'm not going to talk through all the stuff that is in here, but what I do want to talk through is upgrading. So there's a few changes in this release that require a little bit of care when upgrading, and I thought I would record a little video showing the upgrade process by running an upgrade on one of my own projects. So I'm going in sort of completely blind. I've done a couple of these already on different projects, but I haven't done this one, so we'll see what we run into. But so the plan is I'm going to show you how to upgrade. I'm going to talk through some of these issues that will come up, which I think they will come up on my project. And hopefully if you watch this, you can use it as a guide for upgrading your own projects. Cool. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the sort of like normal upgrade process. So I'm going to upgrade PlaceCardMe, which is this app that I've been running for a really long time that helps you make place cards. And so you can see I'm on Pegasus version 2025.4. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in and change my version to 2025.4.1 and save that. I will say, I used to recommend people stay on the latest version. Now I like to do explicit version numbers just so I can sort of control these upgrades manually. I recommend you always start with the latest version, but then maybe just stick on that version in your project settings before, and that way you can do the upgrades at any point. And you don't have to kind of dig into the code to figure out what version you're on. Okay, so now I'm going to click in Get Code. I'm going to click Submit Pull Request. This will do the normal thing, which is to build my project on the latest version of SaaS Pegasus and submit a pull request back to my app. This takes a couple minutes just to do all the bits and bops. So I will let it run. I'll speed this up in post and be back with you momentarily. Okay, that is done. Now I'm going to go in to view this pull request. So the first thing we'll do is we'll resolve our conflicts. Looks like we can do that on the GitHub interface, so I'll just go ahead and use that. Let's go ahead and see what's happening here. Okay, so one of the changes that is in this version is a stricter set of sort of like formatting and linting rules. And so this is an example where a linting rule is conflicting with a change that we've made. So one of the rules that got added is Pegasus and ruff will now urge us to use f-strings when we can instead of these formatting things. So Pegasus has changed that. Meanwhile, in my PlaceCardMe code, I have changed how this email notification gets sent. And so what I'm going to do is just make sure it's still using the right parameter, which is email, and accept that change, which will also have the correct linting setup. Let's look at the next thing we're looking at. Okay, so this is our deploy YAML file. Let's look at what's going on here. So Pegasus is wanting to add the Stripe pricing table ID, which sounds reasonable to me. I don't know why that wasn't already there. Maybe this project isn't using the dynamic pricing table, but I'll stick that in. Oh, you know why? I bet it's because that is not a secret. So Pegasus wants that to be a secret, but I've already set this here as a variable that can be sent in the clear, so I will just keep it where I am and delete that. And then Pegasus, my app has added this djstripe webhook secret, but we actually don't need that because that functionality has been removed as part of the djstripe upgrade, which I'll talk about when we're going through that process. So that looks good. I'm going to resolve that. Let's see where we are here. Okay, so Pegasus has added this apps utils. Meanwhile, I've added these other PlaceCardy apps, so that looks fine. Let's see, was that the only conflict in this file? Yeah, okay. And our UV lock file. So let's see. Okay, so Pegasus wants to bump up djstripe. We'll just accept that, and then we'll keep kind of the other stuff that we already had there. Was that the only conflict? Yes, it was. Okay, not too bad. So we can commit those. Now we have resolved our conflicts. Our CI will run, and I already know that the CI is almost certainly going to fail. And I know that because, well, it's failed on all the upgrades I've done, mostly because the formatting rules have changed. And if you don't have the formatting rules enabled already, then it's likely that you're just going to write code that doesn't match the new stricter setup for ruff. So there we go, the code style build has failed, and we'll see, a bunch of stuff it wants us to do. Okay, so now I will go ahead and show you how to fix that. I should probably close my WhatsApp web, but I'll leave it for reasons I can't fully articulate. Okay, so, right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to now pull down that code locally. So GL is just an alias I have for git pull. And I'm going to now check out that branch and run the git status. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to run this command, which will do sort of like all the stuff that ruff can do automatically, including unsafe fixes, which in my experience generally aren't unsafe. Oh, I'm using UV on this project, so I need to use UV run. I should also Slack I can sign out of. Okay, so ruff has found 60 errors on my project. It fixed 39 of them, and 21 are still remaining. So we could kind of just trust that this did its thing, but this might be a useful way to talk through some of the categories of errors that you will run into. So, okay, so this is that f-string thing. This is the same thing we ran into already. Another change that it has made is this sort of object inheritance is redundant, so it's just going to remove that for us, so that's totally fine. This looks like, more f-string stuff. That's fine. F-strings, F-strings. Okay, this is one where if you were doing an if-else variable assignment, it will now sort of turn those into the maybe more condensed, more Pythonic one-liners. So that seems fine. And down on the bottom, we have more f-strings. Abe. Killing me. Okay. F-strings, F-strings. Let's see what this did. I think it just resorted our imports there. And, oh my god. And f-strings. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, so not double equals is more canonically not equals. So that's another little tweak. And, in general, like, it's almost certainly not necessary to review these sort of line by line. I am anal, so I like to do that, but you could very likely just kind of accept most of these, and it's pretty unusual to have one of these automated fixes that actually causes problems. Yeah, so this is using sort of like the date time UTC instead of time zone UTC. That's actually one I didn't know about it, but it seems reasonable. F-strings, F-strings, super, these sort of specifying the class, that's like an ancient Python 2, maybe early Python 3 syntax, but you can just do super with no class, so that's fine. I guess the none is the default, so it's not worrying about specifying it on there. And so on. Maybe I'll go a little bit faster here. F-strings, 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 object thingy, more F-strings, super thingy, more F-strings, super thingy, and some more F-strings, and one of those assignment things, I guess. This one's a little return not. Yeah, I guess because return false, return true. So now it's just kind of making that a one-liner. I don't know if I love that change, but seems fine. This is that if-else assignment thing, f-string. Okay, this is actually a cool one. I like these. So this sort of replaces the try except with an empty sort of pass. It uses this context lib.suppress function instead, which is behaviorally the same thing, but it's just a little bit more explicit, kind of saying like I am intentionally swallowing these exceptions. I know that because I'm using this thing that is an API designed to suppress exceptions, and it's just a little bit more explicit, so I like that one. Okay, so those are the automated fixes. Maybe I'll try to commit them. Let's see if this complains. Yeah, it's going to complain. So it's complaining because the pre-commit hook is still failing some stuff. But so I'll just do git commit no verify message automated ruff fixes. So no verify just kind of like lets you bypass the pre-commit hooks, which we want to do in this case. Okay, so those are these ones. What I thought I would do for the next ones, if I can type, is I thought so one of the things that like LLMs are really good at is this sort of like linting stuff. So let's just first like see, let's see, UV run ruff check. Okay, so it's got 20 errors. So what I am going to attempt to do here is I'm going to try to just, it's so hard to type. I'm going to try to get Claude to fix these for me. And we will see how it does. But I do kind of, if you're going to review the code at the end, getting an LLM to fix this stuff for you is probably faster and easier than doing it yourself. So I'm going to run Claude Code. And I am going to say, can you please fix my linting errors? You can see them by running UV run ruff check fix. And so now Claude is just going to kind of do its thing. I'm going to give it permission to run this UV run ruff as much as it wants. So it's going to run that. It's going to look at the errors, and then it's going to start modifying stuff. That was an interesting error. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. I don't know if Claude errored there or what, but oh dear, Claude is confused. Okay, so now Claude has proposed a change here. Let's see what it is trying to do. Oh yeah, okay, it's using okay, so it's basically just done a 2-line string concatenation. I'm going to actually tell it use parentheses and automatic concatenation instead of the plus operator. Do this for the rest of the long lines you encounter. Always a little touch and go coding with AI on a live stream. But yeah, okay, that looks more like what I like. The reason I like to do it with parentheses is because then if you add translations later, it's much easier to just sort of stick a translation function, like a get text, right in front of that parentheses. You don't have to make any other changes. And I find they're just a bit cleaner than the pluses. So we'll accept that. And this looks, oh dear. Oh yeah, well the plus was actually inside the string this time. So that seems fine. I wonder if I misread that the first go around, but no matter. Okay. Similar thing, just kind of making our long lines a bit shorter. Sure. It's pretty funny reading all these old SEO posts that I wrote trying to get people to find my place card websites. I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. Okay, so this is a new flavor, and right, so this is a raise from, which is actually something I learned about while making this change. And basically what this does is, like, if you've ever seen, like, in your well, in stack traces and also sometimes in Sentry or other error checking tools, they'll have sort of like multiple traces. This exception was raised from here, which was raised from here. You can actually do that explicitly. And so in this case, let's see. In this case, we're just raising like a 404 error saying that like someone is trying to access a blog that doesn't exist. And in this case, like, you actually don't really care that that key error was caught. And so in this case, I'm going to say like this one should raise from none. And raising from none just means it'll kind of like swallow that inner stack trace. And that will just make your stack traces cleaner. And like, you know, we don't need to know that that key error was part of this thing. Like, we know that the HTTP 404 is the thing we care about. And so we can just kind of like get rid of that joint stack trace thingy. This one, I don't know. I guess when in doubt, we can just kind of raise from E. I think raising from E is, I actually don't know which is the default, but that seems okay. This one seems like from none is a good choice. That's like a user-facing message. We don't really care about the stack trace there. This one is just a multi-line thing again. And anyway, so you kind of get the points. Hopefully, there were only 20 of these, so I guess we'll just go through all of them. Another multi-line thing. This one, I don't think we need that stack trace. Claude's like trying to find the linting error in the file and having trouble. Oh, there we go. Okay, multi-line string thing, sure. Yeah, okay, this seems good. I wonder if we had an open file handle that was being leaked here. I think it doesn't matter. I wonder if that was a problem or not. So this with context manager, just it'll close the file after it leaves the context manager. And I don't know why it wasn't there in the first place, but we can accept that. That seems fine. Another one. Yeah, I mean, I think because when you... Yeah, I'm actually surprised that these are in the code. I wonder if this is ancient code that does actually leak file handles, or whether something is smart in the Django request response cycle that is closing those file handles anyway. So I've never had any issues with open files. Let's see. So this is an email handling thing. that seems fine. I guess we'll just leave it. I don't know. Okay, this is one of those if-else thingies. Swallowed our comment there. That's okay. What is going on here? Oh, what is... This looks confused. What's going on with these quotes? I think I made a mistake here. I think you have too many surrounding quotes. AIs. I don't know why it's trying to do that. Remove the outer quotes. It's not working very well. Okay, we'll just let it do that and we'll fix it manually. That's settings.py. Oh. Yes, that is in fact what I wanted you to do. Okay, so now it's kind of like rerunning the rough checking and I guess tweaking some of the decisions that it made. I guess it didn't count line lengths very well. Aha! Claude has fixed everything. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Goodbye. Gotta be nice to your AIs so that they don't all murder us. Okay, so now we can kind of like do a quick pass over the changes and just make sure we're happy with how things look. That looks fine. This looks fine. If I wasn't live streaming, I would do these a little bit more thoughtfully, but probably what I'll do is I'll just accept everything and then I'll do like another pass after I close this. Okay, good, good, good. Cool. Claude rough fixes. This will probably error out. This needs a little bit of automatic formatting. And now if we run rough check fix, good. So now we can push that up, and with any luck, CI will pass. Okay, so that is the formatting and linting bit of the upgrade. I did also, where did I go? Formatting and linting. So that's this. I did also want to show the djstripe webhook part, but I do just want to do a slightly more thorough pass on those changes that were all just made. So I think what I'll do is I will stop the recording. I will look at this code a little bit more closely, and then I will pop back in to show the djstripe stuff. So bear with me, and I'll be right back. Okay, actually, so I went to go review this code a bit closer and noticed that the build was failing. And the build is failing because of a djstripe issue. So I thought I would first show how to fix that. Then I'll review everything. Then I will do the djstripe production stuff. So attribute error, djstripe webhooks has no attribute handler. So what's happening here basically is that the latest djstripe changed how webhooks work. I will talk about that a little bit more, but for the purposes of this error, we just need to update the way those webhooks are loaded. So I'm going to go ahead and open this project in my IDE, try to make that a bit bigger. And let's see what file that was in. That was in maker webhooks. And so basically, if we open up webhooks from a different file, it should be djstripe receiver. So I'll just copy that. And yeah, just use that instead of that. And let's see if this can be imported. Nope. djstripe event handlers. There we go. Thank you, cursor. And I think that's it. Oopsie. We can run manage.py. Okay. Manage.py test. Just to kind of save ourselves a CI function. Ooh, okay. This is actually another one that you can run into. And so the issue here is that Pegasus will doesn't know about your project migrations, and one thing that can mean is that it will sort of like update the project migration dependencies to be based on the wrong djstripe migration. And so what we can do is we can basically just undo this change. So in 002, we want to change that to that. And let's just make sure that that 14 thing doesn't appear anywhere else. Doesn't. Okay. That is actually a tricky one because you wouldn't run into it on a clean database. And so that's one that can actually hit you sort of as you deploy to production if you don't test against a dev database that you're upgrading. So recommend looking for that. Yeah, okay, so we'll do fix the djstripe import and fix migration dependency. Push those up, and I think that should be good for our tests. And I will now proceed with my slightly more thorough code review and report back when I'm ready to push this out to prod. All right, I am back. We have got a green build here, which is exciting. I reviewed all the code. It all looked reasonable. I didn't have to make any other changes. I also ran the app locally, did some sort of brief QA on my dev environment. Everything seems to be looking good. So now we are going to go ahead and merge this code in and push it to prod, and then I will show you the last step with djstripe that we need to do. So first thing I'm going to do is merge that PR, delete that branch, and now I will check out the main branch, pull down the latest changes, and then I'm going to do a Kamal deploy, which will deploy my latest changes to production. This will take a while, so I will maybe just go ahead and speed it up. in post or cut and report back when it's done. I guess while this is running, I can sort of explain what we are going to do. And so to start, so basically what happened is that djstripe used to have sort of like a single global webhook endpoint for Stripe to hit. And so you would configure your Stripe webhooks Stripe webhooks to go to this particular URL /stripe/webhook, which djstripe listens for. And then you also would put a webhook secret that you get from Stripe into that, into your kind of like global Django settings file. And what djstripe has done is shifted to like a database-backed webhook approach. And basically you can have more than one webhook endpoint, and each of those endpoints has their own secrets and has their own unique URL, which has sort of like a UUID that goes after the /webhook here. And so when we do this upgrade, we need to essentially reset up our webhooks. So once this code goes live, this existing djstripe webhook endpoint will no longer be valid, and we will have to set up a new one. And if you are like generating so much money that you need to worry about payments or webhooks being down for, the 5 to 10 minutes it takes to set this up, you might want to do this in a different way. The way that I have been doing it on my projects, which it's not a problem for my webhooks to be down for 10 minutes. I don't get that many payments. I will just push it to prod and then do this configuration on prod. And then if something goes wrong, I will roll back, I suppose. Although, to be honest, like, webhooks are almost optional in the Stripe world. I mean, they're one set of redundancy for keeping your subscriptions and stuff in sync. They also are required for the customer portal to work. So like when someone goes and cancels their subscription, that won't fire unless or upgrades won't fire unless the webhooks are set up. But it's not, people will still be able to pay you. People will still be able to sign up for new subscriptions, and that all should work without webhooks. So yeah, we're going to do it live as soon as this Kamal deploy finishes. And just looks like that deploy is almost finished. So one thing I will do is just sort of like confirm that this webhook endpoint starts failing, and that will just let me know that the deploy kind of worked, that we are actually running the latest version of the code. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the customer portal, billing portal, session created. So I'm going to update the endpoint to trigger those billing portal session created endpoints. Okay, the deploy just finished. I'm going to load my landing page. I'm going to sign in. And I think that this account has a subscription. And so I'm going to click Manage Billing. That should trigger a billing portal session. And now we should see if I refresh this. Hopefully we get a failed webhook. Yeah. So this webhook is now failing because the latest djstripe does no longer accepting webhooks at that endpoint. So how do we fix this? So basically we're going to follow the, if I click through to here, this is the Pegasus subscriptions documentation, which links to this djstripe documentation. But basically, we're just going to create a webhook in the Django admin. So let's get out of here, and we're going to go to the Django admin. And we're going to go to djstripe down to webhook endpoints. And now we're going to add a webhook endpoint. And we'll select our account. We want to set it to live mode. Not going to worry about description. So base URL is just like your site. So it should be the same thing you kind of see at the beginning of the address bar. placecardme.com, that looks good. And then under advanced, we can choose our API version. And then we can set, I like to just listen for the specific webhooks I care about, just to like have fewer amounts of noise and other things. So checkout session completed. Checkout session completed, where is it? Checkout session completed. And then subscription, customer.subscription.created, deleted, updated. And maybe we'll also do that billing portal one. Billing portal session created. Okay. Then we don't need to touch these defaults. And I was just holding down control when I was clicking those just to choose. Sorry, a little interruption there. And so now this has created a webhook endpoint in our Django admin, but djstripe should hopefully also have created this webhook endpoint in our Stripe account. And this is cool. One, that it just sort of happens automatically. You don't have to worry about it. And then two, you also don't need to worry about the secrets. When djstripe creates the webhook endpoint, they sort of manually handle the secret configuration for you. And so now with any luck, we can go back to our subscription and we can click like manage billing. We'll start one of those customer portal events again. And sorry, I'm just laughing because my wife opened the door to my room and then just sent me a WhatsApp saying she was sorry, which also popped up on my screen. But yeah, so we opened the billing portal, and now if we refresh this page, hopefully we'll see that this webhook actually triggered it, which it did, and it's processing it successfully. So I am happy. I think that means it is all working. If I were feeling paranoid, I might just sort of like do an actual payment workflow. But I will maybe record that or do that when I am not recording. And let's see. Yeah, so I think that's basically it. Oh, the last thing I will do, having set up this new webhook endpoint, is I'm just going to go ahead and disable this old webhook endpoint. And I'll do a little more testing offline to make sure that this all worked properly. But that is the basic migration process. And so yeah, so now my app is on the latest version of Pegasus, the latest version of djstripe. I've got database configured webhooks. I've got stricter rough linting rules. And that whole process, I think, took less than an hour, which isn't so bad, you know, for a lot of good changes. So hopefully that was helpful if you are using Pegasus, or I guess if you're not, but I don't know why you'd be watching this if you're not. You can always get in touch if you have any issues with this upgrade. I'd be happy to help you out. Okay. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.